All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're not sure about the current traffic situation in LA, but it's 8:35. The takes aren't going to be we don't want the takes to get cold, so we got Dave to fill in for now. Hopefully, we're getting flipping a little bit here, but we are starting off the show, and we are not celebrating a division title yet because the magic number still remains at one. But we will discuss if that actually changes this week and much, much more on the fast-paced show, Viking Hot Takes. Let's roll it, Dave.
What's your take? What's your take? Let's go a Viking on Viking Hot Takes. And now
Wait a
the
second.
flip is
Who's
joined
that I
us.
hear?
Hold on. And he's not loaded in the image. Go figure.
He's here, I promise.
He's in the
We have a
green
show.
room. He's stuck in the green room. There he
There
is.
we are.
Y'all just got to think. Was I really late, or did Dave just want to answer these questions himself? We will never know.
I didn't do the research on him. All I did was you copy and paste.
Well, hey, welcome to the fast-moving Minnesota Vikings talk show, Viking Hot Takes. I'm here. I am very unprepared from this show, coming straight from the office on the left coast. I kind of remind myself of the Minnesota Vikings last Sunday. But we got a show to do. I'm going to lean heavily on Eric. Eric, you ready?
Of course, I have no one within 5 yards of me, or probably 10 yards of me, so I feel like I'm right in the middle of the Vikings defense. So like I'm wide open. Let's keep throwing. Let's keep throwing. Let's be in like opposing offenses and just keep firing it down the middle.
I love it. I love it. Well, we got the fans with the answers in the comments. So we're going to ask the first question. Dave's going to put the countdown on the clock. And we'll start with 4 games left, Eric. So, I mean, it's a continual thing right now. Who do you blame? I blame blank for the bad 2022 defense. Who are you putting in that blank?
Yeah, where do you start? I mean, first of all, it's bad. It is unequivocally bad, especially over the last 5 games. When you're allowing over 2,000 yards in 5 games, that is very bad. Especially to some of the offenses that were, again, like last week against Detroit. Sure, if that's a 1 game blip, yeah, hey, they got the best. Yeah, they've been kind of the hot team. But when you're making Mac Jones look amazing and he can barely move the ball against the Cardinals on Monday night, you're making Mike White look like an all-star except in the red zone. Like it's a huge problem. Again, so I mean, I'm not one of these fans that think, okay, all they need to do is fire the defensive coordinator. That'll solve all the problems. But you have to start with defensive coordinator Ed Donatel. He was brought in, and it was his job. He was going to introduce the 3-4 defense. He was going to make a lot of adjustments and get the most out of his players. And I don't mind the philosophy because again, I don't think it's all Dontel because I'll cover it in a little bit here, but there's a lot of players to blame as well. But it just seems like it's here's the defense we're going to try it out. We're going to have a cover 2 shell. We're going to play soft off of you, and it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. We're just going to let you complete passes over the middle of the field. 3rd and 7, here you go. Here's 8. Here, 3rd and 3. you can go wherever you want on the field because everything's a kind of a soft cushion. And again, a lot of people are kind of up in arms over the Ed Donatel. I think we're reading a little bit too much into his comments. Like all we got to do is have tighter pressure and we're good. He realizes that his defense that he's in charge of is bad. That being said, like it
Yeah.
really has to like it has to improve. Otherwise, the Vikings, again, it has to be an abject disaster if they don't make the playoffs. They're probably going to make the playoffs. We're pretty sure. But if they want to
Mm-mm.
do anything, they have to start there. But again, it's not like a lot of his players are really balling out either. Again, like you look at Daniil Hunter, it's like he still his PFF grade is high. He's still getting a lot of pressure, but it really doesn't matter with him and Zadarius Smith if they're getting pressure quickly. It's all moot because the opposing quarterbacks can hit quick slants or wherever they can basically throw wherever they want on the field right away. So even if you're getting pressure within a second or two, the ball's already out of there. So I think the coverage is a really big problem, and it's players
Mm-mm.
like that are taking a step back, like the Eric Kendricks. I don't think he's not really playing like an all pro this year. Like I still think he's very valuable. The guy playing next to him has been really rad in coverage. Jordan Hicks. I've been
Mm-hmm.
calling for a little more Asamoah just to switch it up. But yeah,
Switch it
like
up.
it starts at the top. It's a whole. It's if it was just one thing, that would be great. Like if they had to just switch up the play calling or switch up the scheme. They're 13 games in. They can't like Kevin O'Connell basically alluded to it. It's like they can't overhaul the defense and do something completely different going down the stretch. They're going to have to make the incremental improvements, or it's going to be a very quick exit in the postseason.
Yeah, yeah. I think my issue with this, and a lot of fans are shedding, there's some blame going around. Even Mike Zimmer is getting some blame in the comments. The draft class. No, but my issue with Donatel is I don't think you put a different defensive coordinator in and see any type of improvement. They just don't
Right.
have the tools. They have none of their defensive secondary that they drafted are they're all injured, so you're getting nothing there. Eric Kendricks is not a great pass rusher, and neither is Jordan Hicks. So I don't think this idea that we need to generate more pressure, send extra rushers, is actually going to, be a fix. Like, sure, it will give a different look, but a fix, not really. So for me, I'm putting Daniil Hunter in this blame. I blame Daniil Hunter for this
Wow.
bad 2022 defense. He is not the same person. You said it about Eric Kendricks, but it's true for Daniil Hunter as well. His pressure numbers, they're okay. It's nothing like his 2019 where he had 97 pressures. I mean, his sack numbers again. I think if we legitimately had two pass rushers that offenses had to worry about, the defensive secondary, get Harrison Smith back, and you could actually cobble together something that looks like a competent defense. Not all the time, but certainly not look this bad 5 games in a row. And I've seen just no. Daniil Hunter is a good player, but he's not a playmaker in this season.
Okay. I'm
I
gonna I'm
nobody
gonna
cares about PFF grades, David.
No, we're
So
not talking
what?
about PFF grades. We're talking about pressure. And I
Yes,
let's just go to my first
pressure,
question because
sacks, fumbles,
I
scare the quarterback into making some bad decisions, and we don't
well,
do that.
it's hard to scare the quarterback in the second and a half. That's all I'll say. Let's go to my first question because I think it transitions well. I think we can
Yeah,
continue the discussion. Mine's about the defense as well. Is this defense salvageable at this point in the season?
yeah. Some people blame Kwesi for the bad draft class, and I don't think it is salvageable. I think we knew that the defensive secondary was going to be a weakness. We knew it's been a weakness for 18 months at this point, and we went into the draft. Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Seen, a Caleb Evans, all not available. This past game, Harrison Smith also out. So sure, you project to get Harrison Smith back, but it's going to be fun. All the games up to the Lions game, the bad pass defense made them fun. They were close, they were high scoring, they came right down to the end. This Detroit game is the first one that was not fun. So I can't promise you that the defense will be good, but hopefully these last 4 games are fun.
Well, I think we're gonna get fun. It's heart attacks are fun, I guess. Like it's entertaining. Like if you're a neutral fan and watching Vikings games this year, like they're a blast every single week. I get that in that respect. But look, okay,
Yeah.
we're not asking this year's Vikings defense to look like the 49ers defense that's playing in the background here and
Hmm.
shutting out everyone in sight. Like I just want them to be looking like they're playing the same sport. Because right now it looks like if you look at the Vikings defense and look at the 49ers defense, it literally looks like they're not even playing the same sport right now. I think the only
Hmm.
way that this defense is salvageable is if it becomes a lot more unpredictable. If you just look at
Hmm.
the microcosm of the third quarters this season for the Vikings, I think they've been by and large pretty much an abject disaster because opponents go, okay, here's what the Vikings defense is showing us. Here's what their game plan is. They've made a couple adjustments before the game. Here's how we're going to attack it. And the Vikings
Yeah.
defense comes out the exact same way, and they just pick them apart. Of course, that's oversimplifying. Of course, that there's a lot of factors that go into that, and but that's one of the staples of the aforementioned Mike Zimmer, those dominant defenses of the late 2010s, is that you rarely knew where the pressure was coming from, and the defense
Hmm.
was usually disguised pretty well pre-snap. The coverage, they rotated around, and you're just not getting much of that. And again, Harrison Smith is not the best safety in the league like he was for several years. However,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure he can still, change his depth. How many times have we seen this season where Smith is, rushing up or rushing back from the line of scrimmage before the snap? I can
Right.
maybe count a
That doesn't
handful.
happen.
He used to,
Yeah.
yeah, he used to do that 6, 7 times a game and confuse them. I think the Vikings again, they are limited with what they have. No one's going to expect them to be a top five defense. We had dreams of it before the season. Obviously, that didn't materialize at all. But the players they have, they're going to get a couple of those injured players back. I think that's going to make a bit of a difference. But they have to be less predictable because it's if
Hmm.
I don't care who you are, like if we got to quit making quarterbacks like Jared Goff look like Joe Montana because they know what they're expecting pre-snap. It unfolds and boom, they can hit their first or second read every single time. That's where it has to change for me because again that they aren't going to be world beaters, but they have to be better. And I think the way that starts is becoming more unpredictable.
Right. Right. Let's go to the next question. I've got another another question here, just with the last four games. Eric, what will Minnesota's final regular season record be?
Oh, it's a good one because I mean, like, I don't want to be the doomsday just because of the recency bias with 10 and they're still 10-3. The worst they can go is 10-7. The best they can go is 14-3. I think it's fair to say that I'm not going to like all four games are very winnable too. By the way, the Vikings will probably be favored in at least three of them, maybe not all, if not all four. But I won't pretend to know which ones they're gonna. I won't go down like this one's a win, this one's a win, this. But I think they're gonna finish 2-2. So I would say
Okay.
12-5, just because I don't think the defense is nearly good enough to run the table, and I don't think the offense is going to let this team just completely peter away, especially with a couple very winnable games at home. So if I had to pick, like I would think they take care of business these next two games, so that gets them to 12-3, and then they probably do something dumb and they lose to Lambeau because that's going to be Green Bay's Super Bowl, right? I had to get that back because the Packers. Every time the Vikings beat the Packers in the regular season, that's our Super Bowl. With the Packers are nothing to play for at Lambeau, that's gonna be their Super Bowl. And I just figure by week 18, it's gonna be decided. Unfortunately, I think the Vikings are
Wow.
probably gonna be locked into the 3 seed, the way that the 49ers are playing. It just
Uh-oh.
because they lose the conference tiebreaker with the
You
49ers. I could
said
I
you said two seed earlier this year.
I did say the 2 seed. That's because I didn't think the 49ers were going to turn into the defensive juggernaut and finish with 4 losses. I thought 5 losses would get them the
Purdy
second seed.
Purdy ball.
But
Yeah.
yep. But I think it might be decided either before kickoff in Chicago or like maybe halfway through. It's like, okay, the 49ers are taking care of business. Let's rest the starters second half, and then they just kind of give away that Chicago game. That's how I kind of hope it plays out. Like, obviously, I want them to get the second seed. I want them to get the first seed. That ship has probably sailed a long time ago, but I think they split them. They go 2-2. They finish with the second or third seed, and we'll see where they go from there. What do you got?
Yeah, GMAC is saying 10-7 is could be in the cards.
Of course, it's in
I
the
feel
cards. Nothing is off the table with this team. Everything is in play.
all anything from 14-3 sounds a little too high. I'll say that, but they should win all four games. I want to say 13-4. I think where I'm at is 2-2 is not good enough. Losing 3 out of your last 5 to end the year is and being a 3 seed, that's tough. And I'm at the point where if we're gonna go 12-5, then we might as well just freaking go 10-7 and get some draft position. Let's go
Oh,
to
well,
the next
that.
question.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's
I
not
mean,
get all doomsday. If they lose on
we
Saturday,
still
then we can
get
be
the
all
NFC
doomsday next
North.
week.
We still get the NFC North crown, and we'll see what other questions we have to ask.
Again, if you would have told us before the season that 12-5 and the number 3 seed, we all would have jumped at it. So again,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's adjusted expectations. Okay, all
Oh,
right.
I'm not.
My
I'm not
second.
upset. I'm not upset
Yeah.
about 10-7, but
Okay.
it's preferable to 12-5.
Right. Okay. And this is my again, my first two have complemented your first two. Would you bet over or under 0.5 playoff wins for this Vikings team?
Yeah. So if we think we're a 2 seed or a 3 seed, basically it'd be very hard to be a 4 seed, with the Buccaneers just having
I
so
think
many
it's
losses.
impossible right now. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think. Yeah.
Right. Um. I think there is a you want to rank the NFC teams right now. I think it's purely about matchups. I think
Hmm.
what I like about uh, and yes, Warren, we hear you. We need to switch back to a 4-3 defense. Keep on preaching the good word. You're preaching to the choir right
Quit
now. They got
dropping
to switch
Hunter
it
into
up.
coverage, then he'll get more pressure. Yes, I get. Yes.
DJ Wanham into coverage. We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn about the Giants if they make it. We could face off with the Detroit Lions, which I'm not scared about. We could face the Washington Commanders again. So I think when you look at the actual teams we're gonna play, I'm gonna still take the over, regardless of which seed they end up with. What do
I
you think?
I hear you. That's kind of how I broke it down too, because there are three teams that I am absolutely petrified to play against right now in the NFC, and that would be the Philadelphia Eagles, who have already whooped up on the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings earlier in the season, but they aren't slowing down. The Dallas Cowboys, who have already whooped up on the Vikings and don't seem to be slowing down that much. Although, yikes, that Houston game, boy, they barely pulled that one out.
Yeah.
But again, they're still obviously a tough matchup for the Vikings and the aforementioned 49ers, who are steamrolling everyone right now. And I think just an awful matchup for the Vikings. I do not know how they would stop that defense, especially that front seven. So, but those three teams are more than likely not going to be the first round opponent for the Vikings. It's
Right.
the Eagles are going to be the first seed, the 49ers are going to be the second or third seed, and the Cowboys are going to be the fifth seed. And
Right.
again, like we already covered, the Vikings almost can't be the fourth. So again, like all those other teams, even if the Giants beat the Vikings over on Christmas Eve, that's really hard to go to the same place twice in just a few weeks and beat the same team. That's going to be
Right.
tough. The Vikings have already taken care of the Commanders at home. And the Lions, yes, that's a tough matchup as they proved last week, but I'd still like the Vikings' chances. So I'll say the over. But if you told me to, if was it 1.5, I'd say under, because I think the next round opponent is going to be a very tough matchup for the Vikings.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The seeding doesn't matter because if we do win that first playoff game, as long as we're not the 4 seed, then we might as well just be the 3 seed with a 10-7 record.
Well,
And if we lose that game, we get the draft pick.
yeah, but wouldn't you rather face the 49ers at home if you had the chance instead of going into Santa Clara? That's the thing. Like if the
If I
Vikings can
have
get the
to
two.
go to Dallas or Philadelphia, either way, after that,
Well, see, Philly will probably if Dallas wins, then they'll go to Philly for being the lower seed. But yeah,
I
again,
hate this conversation. I hate it. I hate that we're having it. We're supposed to have the 2 seed locked up by now
I thought so
with
too. But
a 9% chance to get the 1 seed.
hey, we got another half for the Seahawks. Maybe they come back and surprise us here. Maybe this will be we'll have a lot better feeling in a few days.
No,
Okay,
but then people are going to be like, "Oh, Seahawks can even beat the Vikings." We just got to do it the hard way and win the playoff game. Picking the over, Eric.
all right.
Dalvin Cook will finish the season with blank rushing yards. How many rushing yards?
Okay, well he has 950 right now, and that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. Almost nothing. He'll break another 1,000 barring injury or something like that. The bigger concern for me is how poor the run blocking and the run game on the whole has been the last several weeks. And Cook himself, like again, the run blocking has done him no favors lately, but Cook's rushing yards over expected. It started pretty well this season. He had a good start to the season. And right now, among qualifying running backs, he's I believe in the bottom 10 of qualifying running backs of rushing yards over expected. And that's a next gen stat. Basically, it goes on a run by run basis of like how much he should have gained on a play compared to breaking out. In the last 3 weeks, he has been among the bottom 3 in the league. Like I think he's at like a negative 11 or 12 rushing yards under expected for the season after having such a good start. But of course, that's no coincidence that the last 3 games Christian Darrisaw has been out. I think the return of Darrisaw is going to be a huge help to the run offense, and I think Cook will and the running game will get going better. That said, I have concerns about the run game on the whole. Like I think Cook. I think we kind of agreed when he got that big extension. It was like, yay, we like him back on the team. He's a very good running back, but also the whole running backs don't matter argument is kind of coming to fruition in this. Like paying him this much to be a pretty good running back is tough. So I think he averages. I'll say he gets another 4 games left, like 250ish yards over those 4 games. So right around 1,200 yards. That's what I'll say.
What's 950 divided by 13? Can somebody do that math? Why are I feel like all our runs are up the middle. I feel like Cook doesn't have the speed to get outside, and the run game is just kind of a placeholder. We just tell ourselves, well, we got to give Cook the ball, 15 to 20 times a game with no success, with basically 40, 50 yards rushing average, and nobody else is giving the ball. So I hope it's lower than 1,200 because they need to mix up the running backs the same way they mix up the defense. They need to mix up the defense. Get me some explosiveness. Get me some sweeps, some toss plays, some off-tackle runs instead of this run behind Ezra Cleveland and Ed Ingram crap that they've been doing.
And they've been doing some toss plays, but it's again like it's
It's
first or
this
second long
inverted
every
toss
time.
where they toss it straight
it's
back, and then he's still
yeah.
going off guard.
Yep. Okay.
Shoot it into
All
the
right.
sun. Let's go to the last one.
I hear you. They build the whole black box out, build the whole airplane out of the black box, build the entire thing. Just throw it to Jefferson at the end, and hopefully maybe even Smith
And
comes
we
back.
have
All right.
speed in the running back room. Ask it.
Okay.
Ask it.
All right. I got to ask you the same question that I finished with last week. When will the Vikings win the NFC North? I asked this last week. We were convinced it was Sunday, and that was wrong. So now we got 2 opportunities this week. Is it going to be Saturday, Sunday, or are we still got to wait another? Are we going to be? Do I have to ask this question again next week?
I want it to be Saturday. I would not mind if it were Sunday because then the Pouty Lions would again be pouty. But I'll say Saturday. I'll say we beat the Colts. What do you think?
I think so too. I haven't lost faith completely in this Colts team. Again, they're off a bye, but they're limping in. The Vikings should take care of business.
We got it in.
Buzzer. Right there.
Like we always do.
Again.
We never miss the buzzer on Viking Hot Takes. That's 6 questions. That's 20 minutes. Fans in the comments, we had some good ones. G-Mac saying if they don't beat the Colts, then they're not going to win any of their remaining games. A lot of the hate for Mike Zimmer is back in the comments, y'all. That's how bad.
It's mixed. It's mixed with the Zimmer. No, they want Zimmer as the defensive coordinator. They want him to fix the defense. Just the defense, though. Not to be head coach, just to be the defense. I'm sure he'd come back.
We have pleas to return back to the 4-3 defense. And, people are saying Cook is chopped. So here we go.
Okay, Dave, come in and save us. Tell us what we got coming the rest of the week before Saturday's game here.
Well, what we have the rest of the week is Saturday's game, and we will go live in the final 2 minutes with the final score. Our post-game show that happens during the game. When you hit that 2-minute mark, Flip is a regular. Absolutely. Yeah. I wish Eric would call from the stadium on his phone. That would be awesome. And Jason and Matt also normally join me. We sometimes have guests, and we have a good time. Hopefully, Saturday, we'll be yelling and screaming about our NFC North division crown.
Yes,
Amen.
sir. Yes, sir. Well, we enjoyed it. I'll let y'all go to watch Thursday Night Football. I guess we're hoping that San Francisco loses, huh? Maybe I'll turn that on.
I tweeted that out at the beginning of the game. I'm like, Seahawks, you're doomed. You have all these Vikings fans rooting for you, But
Yes.
21-3 in the second.
And I never got a video of Greg Joseph missing that field goal in practice a couple weeks ago. Apparently, I've got an Ed Donatel press conference to watch, which is like, why would I ever watch that old man speak?
Oh, that'll frustrate you to no end.
That I need to watch it. So I'll watch it, and oh wow, Donnie closing us out, Game Changer 16. Y'all have a great night, great weekend. Skol Vikes.
Thank you so much, everyone. Skol.
Skol Vikings. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.